is the mission for Merck Research Labs?
So the mission for Merck Research Labs clearly is to continue to discover and identify life-sustaining drugs. And so as you think about information technology, how we complement that is our job is to identify what's called the art of the possible, right? So we have all of these scientists doing all of this wonderful work. Now, how does information technology, unleash the creative side? And we do that, by focusing on things such as, information management, as an example, or data management. And so the way we begin to look at data, data becomes information becomes knowledge, and knowledge becomes wisdom for the scientists to do their job.
Wow, very cool. So you are in IT.
Yes.
Did you ever imagine that you would be in an IT role that would actually intersect with such an interesting personal medical kind of mission?
No. I'm a traditional information technologist with degrees in computer science and accounting and things of that nature. Really
Right.
never thought that I would cross over to this side of the house, because in a prior life I did infrastructure, databases, supported human resources and things of that nature, but now we're supporting the scientists, and it's really phenomenal. So one example of what we do with the scientists, if you think about a scientist and a doc notebook, right? So in the past, scientists would actually create all of their files in a manual notebook.
Right.
And so what we've been able to do is to digitize that, right? So if you think about a file cabinet in the traditional sense, our scientists in the past would actually create, these notebooks and stick them in a file cabinet.
Right, sure.
Who can get to that other than them, right? I mean, that's of a lot of value to that scientist. What we've done now is we've digitized all of that with an Exadata backend. It's not a plug for Oracle, but we have an Exadata backend. So by digitizing all of these notebooks, that the scientists create, it's now accessible by more than just the scientists that created it, if that makes sense. And so now you can actually search these artifacts.
Right.
And look for not even anomalies, but things that that you may be curious about that you didn't have access to in the past, because these notebooks were not searchable before, right? They were handwritten notes that we put in a file, and we call those were just notebooks for the scientists. And so by putting all of that stuff in a computer program, in a computer system, it's now real data that you can manipulate, if that makes sense.
And you can, it sounds like you can really create information discovery by maintaining it that way.
You can. So if you were doing a test, in the lab, and you created your data set, in the past, it was you, the machine, and your data set.
Right.
Right now, what I can do is take your data set, take another data set, another data set, another data set, and see if there are any nuggets of information in there, that I can use across all four.
Right. It's almost like putting together a puzzle.
It really is like putting together a puzzle. Whereas before, once again, it was a paper artifact that only you could get to. Now, by searching the database, if you will, everyone can get access to that information.
Fascinating.